Part 124. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1231. Chapter 1231. I just want to be with you 3. I took a deep breath, and while saying this, she kept facing him with her cold back. The person you love is Murong Ye. Tang Feishan was greatly shocked and backed away repeatedly. If he hadn't held onto the railing on the side of the road in time, he would have fallen to the ground. Tang Feishan, why do you have so much confidence that I still love you? It's been 3 years, 3 whole years. No matter how deep the love is, it will fade over time. No matter how touching you say now, can't make me feel the slightest bit moved. The time I was with you was the most painful day in my life. Without you, Murong Ye has always been with me. What confidence do you have that I let go? If you don't love someone who is always obedient to me, why am I still thinking about you? Let's go. Don't appear in front of me in the future. Let's live our own lives and stop disturbing each other's lives. I finished these words in a calm and cold tone. Those heartless and bone-chilling words came out of her little cherry mouth, and hit Tang Feishan's heart word by word. Tang Feishan's facial expressions changed from time to time. At first he prayed for her to come back, at the end he described his future life happily, and then to the pain of hearing her heartless words, the expressions on his face changed again and again. He was so devastated afterwards that I said so many heartless words, but he couldn't listen to a word of it. Her words that the person she loved was Murong Ye kept echoing in her mind. He was so shocked that he knelt on the ground, looking at the ground with his eyes blankly. But where Tang Feishan couldn't see her, Li's facial expression was in greatest contrast to her cold voice. There was endless sadness in her eyes were red, and her eyes were filled with red bloodshot eyes. She tried hard not to let tears fall, and tried hard to maintain her cold tone and cold expression. I took a deep breath, turned around and walked towards the car parked outside. She would not say anything more or cast her eyes on Tang Feishan. Not for a moment. After finishing her sister's statement, Qian Yuman sighed deeply, hugged her sister into her arms, and coaxed her softly. Well, now that it's over, don't be sad anymore. Murong is a good man. I know. Hey. It takes a while to get used to letting go of a relationship completely. I believe you can do a good job. I nodded and tried her best to smile. Yes. I believe that one day, I can let go completely. Qian Yuman stared at her sister and sighed helplessly. It seems that the pain of love in the past made my sister afraid to fall in love again this time. Maybe she was afraid and that's why she didn't even dare to try. But this is good, at least my sister will not be hurt emotionally anymore. Don't look at how great Tang Feishan is to be with Qilil regardless of everything, there is countless sadness behind this greatness. There will still be many tests to face them, and behind the seemingly cool appearance, there will be many other sacrifices. But thinking that her future brother-in-law was a nagging person, Qian Yuman rubbed her temples with a headache. In the next few days, Qian Yuman started to work busy again. Little Mickey was always left to Tang Yuj to take care of. A lot of things happened to the older and younger children. They were always made to laugh and laugh. Qian Yuman endured countless times. I couldn't help but take a video and share it with Qian's mother and Qi's father. The title was Qi Pa's father and son getting along. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1232. Chapter 1232 Potential Danger 1. In the next few days, Qian Yuman started to work busy again. Little Mickey was always left to Tang Yuj to take care of. A lot of things happened to the older and younger children. They were always made to laugh and laugh. Qian Yuman endured countless times. I couldn't help but take a video and share it with Qian's mother and Qi's father. The title was Chi Pa's father and son getting along. I have lived in the emperor in the past few days. I have been playing with their children every day with my busy work every day with my beloved. It is the happiest time in the past 3 years. During this period, many episodes also occurred. Chi Lili and Murong officially dated. The happiest person was Murong, who wore a bright smile every day and showed off everywhere that he was Chi Lili's man. His chatteriness continued to increase, but as long as Chi Lili was around, he became much quieter. He tried to hold it back several times when he wanted to speak, which made everyone laugh and cry. At the same time, he also knew about the quarrel between Tang Feishan and the Tang family. He insisted on breaking off the engagement with his fiancée, no matter what, even if Chi Lili was dating Murong. However, one thing that is beyond everyone's expectation is that Tang Feishan always appears next to Chi Lili from time to time, and sends flowers to Chi Lili's home every day. He also declares that he will pursue Chi Lili in the future until she gets married. If he doesn't get married, he has a chance. Murong was so angry that he wanted to send a killer to kill Tang Feishan several times, but he didn't think that he was his brother's younger brother, so he might have been secretly killed. Since the miscarriage, Chao Xiaofeng's personality has become much more lively and cheerful, and she has slowly come out of her sadness. Everyone is happy to hear it. Another thing that makes Jian Yuman happy to see this happen is that during this period, Xian Yuanxun has been accompanying Chao Xiaofeng to take care of her. The two said that they are friends with each other. Seeing that Chao Xiaofeng was in a foreign land, they felt sorry for her, so they took care of her for a while. Chao Xiaofeng and Xian Yuanxun are getting closer and closer, and everyone has a tacit understanding that they will wait for the two people to be together and give them wedding candies. Jian Yuman is also happy. If her best friend becomes her sister-in-law, that would be more perfect than anything else. There is no need to worry about Chao Xiaofeng's marital happiness in the future. Happy time passed quickly. Jian Yuman's business trip was coming soon, and she would be returning to China in 2 days. Tang Yuj also excitedly said that he would settle in Paris together. For the sake of the woman's career, he could move his headquarters to Paris at any time, and he could always accompany Jian Yuman in Paris from now on. For this decision, Tang Yuj worked hard to plan, pulling Murong, who was still in love, to make the decision to move the headquarters, causing Murong to scream in pain. However, although he is the chairman, he is just the executive president. In addition, Qian's mother and Qi's father are both in Paris. Qi Lili will fly to Paris in a few days, and Murong can only accompany Tang Yuj to move the headquarters there. The separation time is approaching. Jian Yuman and Qi Lili are going back together, but Tang Yuj and Murong have already flown to their headquarters in Berlin and are planning to move the headquarters to Paris. Little Mickey was also taken away by Xian Yuanxun and Chao Xiaofeng long ago, and flew back to Paris 2 or 3 days earlier than them. Jian Yuman and Qi Lili went to the airport with everyone from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to return to Paris. When the twin sisters Qi Lili and Jian Yuman appeared at the airport, they attracted countless gazes. There were many beauties, but identical twins were rare. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1233. Chapter 1233 Potential Danger 2. When the twin sisters Qi Lili and Jian Yuman appeared at the airport, they attracted countless gazes. There were many beauties, but identical twins were rare. Jian Yuman and Qi Lili have exactly the same face and body shape except for their different clothes. Colleagues from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had already gathered around them and kept asking questions about this gossip. Now no one knows how rich the family backgrounds of these sisters are. The last time Jian Yuman was kidnapped, It caused a sensation in the entire imperial capital. Lili, are you excited? Qian Yuman hugged her sister's arm affectionately and asked her about her mood. Excited, Qi Lili had a faint smile on her cold face, and she could not wait to fly to Paris. Qi Lili and Qian's mother haven't seen each other for a long time. The last time they met was 8 years ago, when she was still a girl. It will be more than 8 years without thinking about this goodbye. Once she knew her mother was back, she wanted to fly there. If she hadn't been pestered by Murong yet, she would have gone with little Mickey and the others a few days ago. Mommy misses you too. It's a pity that Mommy hasn't recovered her memory yet, and I don't know how Mommy and Dad are getting along now. During the month when Qian Yuman was away from Paris, Qi's father was always in Paris. The daughter and son-in-law are both so powerful. It doesn't matter if he makes less money, so he will be around Qian Xianer this month. The one who sticks to Qian Xianer is not Qi Zhan. What makes them speechless the most is that there are many uninvited guests in Qian Yuman's residence at this moment. For example, Xian Yuanxun's father and Tang Yuzhi's father were also there. Qian Xianer had to face the attentiveness of 3 men every day. They called her several times for help, asking her to come back quickly to help her get rid of these men who were fighting for power and jealousy every day. After Qian Yuman heard about it, she couldn't even laugh or cry. She had long wanted to go back and see how Mommy got along with these men. She was still a little unhappy just thinking that Tang's father was there. The relationship between her and Tang's father is not very good, and the relationship between Qi Lili and Tang's father is even worse. In the past 3 years, although Father Tang has not caused trouble for himself, it is impossible for an old man like him to change many of his ideas. After more than 10 hours of plane journey, when they arrived at the location, Qian Yuman was exhausted, but Qi Lili was in high spirits. She had been feeling some discomfort in her lower abdomen and was very weak, so she decided to go to the hospital as soon as she got off the plane. Compared with her current body, she has to pay attention to many things during pregnancy. After they got off the plane, a high-end car parked in front of them and invited Qian Yuman inside. "Miss Qian, Miss Qi, Mr. Bryce asked me to take you back." The driver smiled gently and bowed, inviting Qian Yuman and the others to sit in the car. "Kenny Appa," Qian Yuman blinked and glanced at the man. "How come I haven't seen you before?" "I'm a new driver." Qian Yuman nodded. She knew that Kenny had sent someone to pick her up, so she didn't think much about getting into the car. Qi Lili and Qian Yuman had different ideas and quickly looked at the visitor several times. "Sister, come out quickly," Qi Lili said anxiously. "Come out," Qian Yuman raised her head in confusion. Before she could ask another question, a man suddenly jumped out of the passenger seat, pushed Qi Lili away, and closed the door. Qi Lili frowned and immediately started fighting with the man. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1234. Chapter 1234 Potential Danger 3. Before Qian Yuman could recover, the car door was closed. The moment the door was closed, the car started to rush forward crazily. Qi Lili, who was being harassed by the car, saw her sister being taken away before her eyes. "Go to hell," Qi Lili shouted angrily, with a knife in her hand and a throw over her shoulder. The enemy she was fighting with fainted and fell to the ground without even struggling. "Sister," Qi Lili shouted, looked around, and quickly ran towards a taxi. At this moment, a car stopped in front of Qi Lili. "Sister Lili, why are you alone?" The car window rolled down, revealing Kenny's handsome face that combined Chinese and Western styles. His golden hair was flying in the wind, and his eyes quickly looked around for Qian Yuman's figure. With a gloomy look on her face, Qi Lili quickly ran to the other door, opened it and went in, pointing at the car that was gradually moving away in front of her. "Hurry up and catch up, my sister has been kidnapped." What? Kenny, who was a little confused just a moment ago, heard Chi Lili's words and moved his hands quickly, and the car flew forward as if it were flying. Which car? Kenny asked anxiously, pressing the accelerator harder and harder. Black SUV, but there is no car inside. Chi Lili's expression was ugly, and she actually watched her sister being taken away in front of him. It's okay, don't worry. Kenny's face was solemn. He took out his mobile phone and opened an app, and his location and Jian-Yuman's location immediately appeared on the phone. What is this? Chi Lil took the phone from Kenny's hand. This is the locator I installed on your sister's bracelet before. It was because of the GPS installed on Jian-Yuman that he was able to rescue Jian-Yuman in time in the last imperial capital. Originally, her bracelet was thrown away by the jealous Mr. Tang, but later Jian-Yuman found that the bracelet was missing, found it again, and even criticized Tang Yuj. Although she knew there was a GPS on it, she liked the style of this bracelet very much, and it was also good for her to install a GPS. Chi Lilia looked at the locator in her hand while directing the driving route. Kenny, something happened to my sister last time in the imperial capital. It won't be those people again this time. I'm afraid so. Kenny's face became more and more ugly when he mentioned this, and the veins in his hands holding the steering wheel bulged. Damn it, who are these people? His hand slapped hard and he put the plate down. Kenny's mood was also a little irritable. This matter has always been a knot in the hearts of Tang Yuj and Kenny. The last kidnapping incident, Jian-Yuman, was almost tainted, causing confusion among those who cared about Jian-Yuman. Later, they were finally rescued. Most of the people who kidnapped Jian-Yuman were beaten to death on the spot. A few of the survivors also committed suicide. Investigations into their identities revealed nothing. After investigating the identities of these people, most of them were ordinary people who had no connection even before the incident happened. Even the 3 black and white men who took the lead were just hired mercenaries. Starting from their identities, it was impossible to find out who wanted to harm Jian-Yuman. They have been investigating this matter for half a month and still haven't found any clues, which makes them very frustrated. There were many bodyguards sent to help Jian-Yuman, and they were also accompanied by people on the same plane, but they could not stop the enemy from pretending to be Kenny to greet them when they first got out of the car. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1235. Chapter 1235. Manman's life and death are unknown. 1. Everything happened so suddenly. Kenny and the others were not the only ones to pursue them. Tang Yuj's bodyguards had caught up with them at the first opportunity, but Chi Lili and the others didn't know it. Tang Yuj from another country also learned about Jian-Yuman's accident as soon as possible. He immediately dropped what he was doing and rushed here on a private plane as soon as possible. At this moment, Jian-Yuman looked ugly. She tried to escape but the car door was locked. She looked at the driver angrily. Who are you? Why did you kidnap me? Miss Jian, we just invite you to experience extreme sports. What? Jian-Yuman's face turned black with fright. What is extreme sports? You will know what kind of interesting sport it is when you get there. The person in the front seat smiled strangely, and Jian-Yuman's hair stood on end after seeing it. Were we the same people we were in the imperial capital last time? The bad guy in the driver's seat smiled again. Miss Jian is quite smart, she actually guessed it. What on earth do you want to do? Have I offended you? A simple woman like me never offends anyone. Are you looking for the wrong person? No, I'm just looking for you. It's just that the person who offended our boss is not you, but your man. We want to teach him a lesson, but unfortunately you have been targeted by us. My man? Jian-Yuman's face darkened, and she said that she, Jian-Yuman, never caused trouble, and even if she did, she would only pick those who could be provoked. It's just, Mr. Tang. How come you have been surrounded by a bunch of enemies since before, wanting his name, and this time they all hit her? Qian Yuman had an extremely bright smile on her face at this moment, and her smile was so sweet. Brother, I believe you may have found the wrong person. My man, do you know who my man is? I am still unmarried. Isn't Tangyuj your man? The man in the front seat sneered. Of course not. You all misunderstood me. I have nothing to do with him now. Even if you kill me, he won't even raise his eyebrows. Let me tell you, we didn't like each other in the beginning, and that's why we got divorced. You almost stabbed each other with a knife. It was wrong for you to kidnap me, because he would have nothing to do with my death. On the contrary, we are on the same side and want to see him in bad luck, so we should form a team. Allies, let's take revenge on Tangyuj. Qian Yuman was talking nonsense in a serious manner. At this moment, she completely shied away from her relationship with Tangyuj. They had no relationship at all. They were just two strangers. If you have any trouble, just ask someone else. You think I believe it? The man in the front seat looked at Qian Yuman as if he were an idiot. Really, I had a fight with him not long ago, and you see it was his bite. Qian Yuman lifted up her sleeves and showed her a row of teeth marks on her hand. Last time Qian Yuman and Tangyuj were playing around, that Tangyuj didn't know the seriousness of the matter and left traces of bites that didn't disappear for several days. In order to clear up the relationship with Tangyuj, Qian Yuman spent a lot of words, but the result was still sad. The other party kept looking at her like she was an idiot. Hey! I won't tell you anymore. You don't believe me. I see that you have never been in love, and you don't know how love can lead to hatred. Qian Yuman sighed helplessly, her method of harassing the driver failed. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1236. Chapter 1236. Manman's life and death are unknown too. Hey! I won't tell you anymore. You don't believe me. I see that you have never been in love, and you don't know how love can lead to hatred. Qian Yuman sighed helplessly, her method of harassing the driver failed. Qian Yuman deliberately talked to the driver, trying to distract him from racing and escaping. When she was in the car, she saw several cars following them. They should be Tangyuj's people. Of course, there were also several cars flanking them to prevent Tangyuj's people from following. Qian Yuman was chattering a lot in the car. The fighting between cars outside the car was fierce, and even pistols were used. It seemed that no matter how hard she struggled this time, it was of no avail. In less than 10 minutes, Qian Yuman didn't see Tangyuj's men, and the people on the bad guy's side also disappeared. They must have been thrown away by their people. They were the only ones speeding towards the suburbs in one car. What do you want? For money or revenge? What grudge does Mr. Tang have against you? Tell me and I will teach him a lesson when I go back. When you go to hell, you can ask King Yama. Qian Yuman tried to get something out of the driver's mouth, but it obviously failed. The other party was unwilling to say anything at all. They still didn't know who was causing trouble for Tangyuj. Why don't you go to Tangyuj when you are looking for trouble? Why do you always find her? She is also very innocent, okay. The car sped to the outskirts, and a group of bad guys who had been waiting for it gathered around and roughly pushed Qian Yuman down from the car. They looked at Qian Yuman as if they were looking at a dead person. Qian Yuman was pinned down by a black man in a place where the wind was extremely strong and there was no human being around except for a small house. Where are you taking me? Qian Yuman struggled, her heart beating faster and faster, telling her that something bad was about to happen. You'll know when you go in. Jianyuman was forced to enter the only small room. The small house was very small. After entering, she discovered that it was not a house at all, but a simple building, mainly to keep out the wind and rain. From a distance, Jianyuman could feel that the wind was getting stronger, and the surrounding environment had become scary. She could actually see the edge of the small room. What is this place? When Jianyuman was pushed onto a platform, Jianyuman finally knew where this place was. They really took her to do extreme sports. This is basically a bungee jumping place. Brother, what are you going to do? Are you really taking me to bungee jumping? I'm not suitable for bungee jumping, I'm pregnant. If you jump down, even if you come back safely, the child will be scared to death. She is afraid of this. It's a pity that the group of people were not moved at all by Jianyuman's words. The smiles on their faces even became brighter and they pushed Jianyuman to the edge. Jianyuman took a look and almost felt weak in her legs. This was a cliff with a height of at least 100 stories. If she jumped off it, would she still be alive? No. Is she really going to die from this today? The baby in her belly has not been born yet, she has not remarried Tanyuj yet, she does not want to die yet, she still wants to live for another 500 years. I don't want to die at such a young age of only 24. Woo woo woo. Who will save her? This group of people worked hard to tie bungee safety protection tools on Jianyuman's body. Jianyuman did not dare to struggle, for fear of struggling too fiercely and falling. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1237. Chapter 1237 Manman's life and death are unknown 3. Who will save her? This group of people worked hard to tie bungee safety protection tools on Jianyuman's body. Jianyuman did not dare to struggle, for fear of struggling too fiercely and falling. Watching them helplessly prepare all the protective tools for bungee jumping, and even test whether it is safe, Jianyuman's heart was completely confused. What on earth do these people want to do? Just take her to bungee jumping? Why did you say so terrifyingly just now? But, she is still so scared. Brothers, can you please let me go? I don't dare to jump, woo. Just standing on the edge, she was so scared that her legs were weak. She couldn't figure out why her younger sister was so keen on bungee jumping. She was scared to death just standing on the edge, and her legs were shaking. It wasn't because someone was holding her to prevent her running away, she was sure a ghost was sitting on the ground now. Not long after Jianyuman finished speaking, gunshots rang out outside the small house, and there were sounds of violent fighting. Someone came to save her, it was Mr. Tang's people. Jianyuman's eyes suddenly rang, and the fierce fighting outside continued for a while. Not long after, Chi Lyle, who looked angry, rushed in first, followed closely by Kenny. Jianyuman saw that there was even blood on Kenny's body, and the blood slowly fell to the ground, but he didn't even frown, nor did he cover the place where he was shot with his hand. He held the gun in his right hand. Chi Lily's face turned even darker when she saw her sister's condition. What do you want to do? Let my sister go. Let go? How is that possible? A gun was pointed at Jianyuman's head and he sneered. Hurry up and put down the pistols in your hands, or I will shoot her. Don't act rashly. Kenny immediately put down the gun in his hand and stared at Jianyuman. Don't be afraid, little funny boy, I will save you. Jianyuman looked at this group of people, then at her sister and Kenny who wanted to rush over. You'd better leave quickly. These people are not kind people. What will happen if something happens to you? This group of people is cruel and bloodthirsty. From the short conversation just now, Jianyuman has already seen that these people will not let her go today. There were only 4 or 5 people who rushed in. Tanyuj's 3 men were all injured. Looking at the people on the other side, there are still more than 20 people in black surrounding them. This is their territory, so they must have prepared a group of people to rescue her. I won't leave. Kenny shook his head and refused, looking at the man who pointed the gun at Jian-Yuman. How on earth are you willing to let her go? No matter what the request is, I will definitely agree to it. Oh. Really? The man who had been talking to Jian-Yuman in the car just now smiled coldly. Mr. Bryce, I have never understood why you have been so kind to Jian-Yuman. She is now Tanyu's woman. If you continue to be kind to her, you will not get anything in return. You don't need to take care of this matter, you just need to make a request. Kenny's face was gloomy, and his eyes when looking at the bad guy were also cold and biting. There was a terrifying murderous look in his eyes, and he wanted to kill the bad guy who pointed the gun at Jian-Yuman on the spot. The scary look of death. This is also the first time Jian-Yuman has seen Kenny look like this. He is really angry and very scary. Really? Since you care about this woman so much, what do you think if you jump down from here and I let her go? The bad guy said, pointing to the 100-story cliff. Your Majesty, Marshal Bai, I just want to ask you whether you can dance or not. Sugar baby, if you want to jump, I will do it. When will my woman need you to save her? Someone in the distance said in a hurry. Kenny, it's too late. I'll jump first and everyone will follow. Master Lei, okay, don't be timid later. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1238. Chapter 1238. Manman's life and death are unknown for. No, you can't jump. How can you survive if you jump here? Jian-Yuman's face changed drastically, she shook her head and shouted. It's not up to you, the gangster sneered, putting the gun directly against Jian-Yuman's head. If you don't jump, I'll kill her right now. Kenny's face was gloomy, but his eyes when he looked at Jian-Yuman were very gentle. Little funny boy. No, Appa, don't do anything stupid. Even if you jump, they won't let me go. Jian-Yuman was not afraid of the gun against her head, lest Kenny would agree to the gangster's request. That cry was like a cry before death, it was creepy. Mr. Bryce, don't worry. As long as you jump from here, I can guarantee that she will not die, and I will not shoot her. One life is worth one life, it's a good deal. The gangster's expression became more and more serious. He was so excited because of the improvised witness method he had come up with. I promise you, you first put down the gun in your hand. No problem. The gangster really threw the gun in his hand to the ground beside him and spread his hands to show it. Jian-Yuman was also surprised. Are the gangsters serious? Hurry up and jump. If you dare to trick me, I will push Miss Jian to jump off the cliff. I believe my movements will be faster than you can save people, the gangster urged, like a reminder. Kenny Appa, you can't get over it? If you really can't get over it, why don't I jump down now? I don't want you to sacrifice for me. Jian-Yuman was really scared. She could feel Kenny's fearlessness. He really wanted to trade his life for his life. With a bright smile on his face, Kenny approached them slowly. If he wanted to jump down, he had to jump down from the mouth where Jian-Yuman and the others were. If he wanted to jump down, he had to get close to Jian-Yuman and the others first. The gangster pulled Jian-Yuman to the edge. Hurry up, I don't have the patience. Kenny walked over slowly. Before he walked over, he had already locked eyes with Chi-Lile, and the two of them had reached a certain tacit understanding. Jian-Yuman struggled against the gangster's restraint while shouting at Kenny not to think too hard. Kenny stood on the edge of the cliff, looking at the bottomless canyon without raising an eyebrow. Kenny, I don't allow you to jump, do you hear me? Jian-Yuman yelled, seeing Kenny standing on the edge, as if he was immersed in bone-chilling ice water, and his whole body was chilled. Jump quickly. Gangster Game was impatient to urge him, and even wanted to walk over in person to help Kenny. Just when the gangster was about to go over, Chi Lyle started. She rushed over quickly and kicked the gangster who had just pointed the gun at them. The direction of the kick was the cliff. Kenny also spun quickly and rushed towards Jianyuman. At this moment, Jianyuman was in the hands of another gangster. His hands were grabbed by the gangster, and only his feet were free. The resistance of Chi Lili and the others caused other gangsters around to rush towards them. Chi Lili quickly squatted down, picked up the pistol that the gangster had dropped on the ground, and quickly counterattacked. Although Chi Lili and the others don't have many people, fortunately, every one of them is at the level of an international champion, and their marksmanship is more accurate than the last. Although it was Chi Lili's first time firing a gun, she showed no mercy and hit the enemy's vital points whenever she aimed at it. In her eyes, these people are just ants, a group of ants trying to harm her sister. She will never be lenient. At this moment, either the gangster will die or they will die. Appa. You're so handsome. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1239. Chapter 1239 Manman's life and death are unknown. 5. In her eyes, these people are just ants, a group of ants trying to harm her sister. She will never be lenient. At this moment, either the gangster will die or they will die. While Chi Lili and others were dealing with the gangsters, Kenny was responsible for rescuing Jianyuman. He quickly swooped over and struggled with the gangster who was holding Jianyuman. Facing the sudden situation, Jianyuman did not panic and started to move violently. Although she is very afraid of death, one good thing is that she has safety measures for bungee jumping. Even if she accidentally falls, she will be frightened at most. Kenny got entangled with the person who captured Jianyuman, and Jianyuman immediately hid in a corner. Even though she was incapable of doing anything, she decided not to cause trouble to them. Kenny and the gangsters were fighting fiercely, and Jianyuman was watching with fear. The sound kept ringing in her ears, and her heart was hanging in the air. At this moment, Kenny, who was entangled with the gangster, was kicked in the stomach by the gangster, and the direction of the kick was in the direction of the cliff. He watched helplessly as Kenny was kicked off the cliff, his body weightless, and he quickly fell down the canyon. Kenny, Jianyuman's eyes widened. She couldn't believe that Kenny had been kicked out. She quickly ran towards the edge of the cliff, trying to hug him. When she ran to the edge, Kenny had already fallen. From a distance, she could only lie on the edge and watch Kenny fall. Baba! Appa! Ah! Jianyuman screamed uncontrollably, her whole body shaking, her voice heartbreaking, her eyes quickly turned red, and her tears were like broken pearls, falling to the ground crazily and being blown away by the strong wind. Jianyuman's heart-rending screams spread throughout the canyon. She was so shocked that she almost went crazy. She watched Kenny completely disappear from sight. You go and accompany him too. The gangster who just kicked Kenny off the cliff raised his foot and kicked Jianyuman, who was lying on the edge. The strength of his foot was completely incompatible with mercy. With this kick, Jianyuman, who was almost collapsed, was kicked off the cliff. The body fell rapidly from a high altitude. Jianyuman was so frightened by the sudden change that she screamed. She felt the roar of the strong wind in her ears. The drooping caused her skin to tingle. She could feel that her body had no support and she fell quickly. The fear of going down filled her heart. Sister, seeing this scene, Chi Lili rushed over quickly, shot the person who kicked Jianyuman down the cliff, and then kicked him to follow him down. Even though Chi Lili was often as cold as ice, her expression changed drastically when she saw her sister being kicked down. Jianyuman was drooping rapidly. After a few seconds, he felt that his body was no longer hanging down and was swaying in mid-air. After seeing clearly that Jian Yuman had not fallen, Qi Lili seemed to come to life in an instant. When she was about to rescue her sister, she saw that the safety rope on her sister was broken. It was obviously the work of the gangsters. When Qi Lili saw it, it was too late. Qi Lili watched the rope break in front of her. At this moment, Jian Yuman was like a kite with its string broken, drooping violently again. Sister, this time, it was Qi Lili who screamed Jian Yuman's name loudly and watched helplessly as her sister disappeared from the size of a sesame dot completely in front of her eyes. Qi Lili turned back angrily and looked at the people who were still entangled with Tang Yu's men. She rushed out crazily and killed them all. At this moment, Qi Lili was like a crazy of murder, killing everyone who hurt her sister. Keep. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1240. Chapter 1240 Manman's life and death are unknown 6. This time, Qi Lili screamed Jian Yuman's name loudly and watched helplessly as her sister disappeared from the size of a sesame dot completely in front of her eyes. Qi Lili turned back angrily and looked at the people who were still entangled with Tang Yu's men. She rushed out crazily and killed them all. At this moment, Qi Lili was like a crazy of murder, killing everyone who hurt her sister. Keep. When Tang Yu arrived in Paris and got off the plane, he almost fainted when he heard the bad news. What did you say? Jian's life or death is unknown. Did you hear it wrong? Tang Yu grabbed the collar of the personal bodyguard assigned to Jian Yuman and shouted loudly. He flew over from China for more than 10 hours. During these 10 hours, he was worried and scared. He thought that with Kenny and the others, Jian would at least be safe. However, he didn't expect that when he got off the plane, the answer he got was that Kenny and the others were here. Jian Yuman both fell off the cliff, her life and death unknown. The rescue team has been deployed for more than 10 hours, but there is no clue at all. The corpses kicked down by Qi Lili and the others have been found, but not as good as those of Jian Yuman and Kenny, not even the corpses. Damn, damn, damn. Why didn't I always protect her by her side, even though I knew there was always potential danger? It's all my fault, it's all my fault. Tang Yu was in pain and was hit hard, his eyes were red, and his whole body going crazy. Facing the crying mother Jian, the solemn-faced father Qi, and the richest man Bryce who came over after hearing the bad news about his son, everyone's faces looked uglier. Qi Lili, who had a lot of injuries on her body, had a guilty face on her face and lowered her head very remorsefully. Her beautiful eyes were filled with tears and her voice was almost choked with sobs. Brother-in-law, it's all my fault for not protecting my sister properly. It's not your fault. Tang Yu felt that it was difficult to breathe at this moment. Looking at the sad expressions of everyone in the room, he stood up angrily. Once again experienced the pain of losing his lover, which made him almost faint in pain. But he couldn't do this, he had to go find her in person. She must be waiting for him somewhere now to find him. Tang Yu immediately set out to find someone under the cliff. Under the cliff was a long river with bottomless water. The person who was kicked down by Qi Lili was found downstream more than 2 hours later. Jian Yuman and Kenny were not found. The only ones they had were Kenny's pair of leather shoes and Jian Yuman's pair of socks. Nothing. Search and rescue operations have been ongoing, but in fact Jian Yuman is alive and well at the moment, just in a coma. In a hospital in a small town in country F, Jian Yuman opened her eyes and immediately looked for Kenny after waking up. After confirming that the person in the ward next to her was Kenny, she breathed a sigh of relief. Thinking about what happened not long ago, she felt a chill all over her body. Fortunately, it was okay, he was still alive. Just after Jian Yuman fell from the cliff, she did not faint. The height she fell from was not very high. The rope was broken when she stopped and swayed. At that time, she was only 2 feet away from the water. More than 10 meters high. She did not faint after falling from above. There happened to be an abandoned kayak next to her. She struggled in the water and swam towards the kayak. After she fell, she immediately looked for Kenny. After searching for about 10 minutes, she saw Kenny floating on the water and drifting downstream with the current. End of this chapter.